Hey.
All right. How's everybody doing? Let me know in the chat how everything sounds. Make sure everything sounds good. You can hear us all nice and clear. If there's any echoes, let us know before we get started so that we can have some discussions. How's everybody doing? Okay. We are going to go clockwise around. So it'll start with Barrett, Amy, Charliee, Zara. Sarah, you guys can introduce yourself. And we have a happy belated birthday before we get started. Barrett, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I'm hanging on to my 30s with my claws. One more year. So here we go, guys. 39. Love you all. My name's Barrett Laurie. I do regularly things over my channel. I'm stoked to be here because I've got lots of unpopular opinions. And some people have been sending me some in direct messages, and I see them in chat. So I'm excited for them to bring some of theirs as well. So here we go. And thanks for having me. Yeah, this is going to be a ton of fun.
All right. Hey, I'm Amy. I'm also Shiny Knight on Twitch, and I'm writing Cyberpunk series at the moment. So I am very pleased to be joining you all today.
You know what? While you were talking, Amy, I just realized that you're the same Amy on Discord that I've talked to.
I get around. I flirt.
I did the same thing before we went live, where I was like, "Oh wait,
I heard that."
Because I was like, Shiny Knight, where is that username from? Oh, okay, that's really cool.
That's me.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Charliee. I'm an Authortuber here on YouTube, and I post videos about writing and journaling. Yeah.
My name is Zara. I'm a self-published author of 6 books, an Authortuber who makes videos about writing and musical theater, and host writing sprints every Sunday morning.
Awesome.
Also a Twitch streamer who hosts sprints on Friday mornings, but...
Hello everyone, I'm Sarah. I am a middle grade and YA writer. I make videos here on Authortube, and I also stream here and on Twitch.
Awesome. And you are here on my channel. I am Nia, the Vixen of Fiction, here on YouTube and on Twitch. And we are going to do the first half of the very writer-light Night Rider tonight. We will do a sprint at the top of the hour, and then we'll do a break sprint where we will lose 2 of these lovely co-hosts because time zones do not cooperate with me and my friends when I want to stream.
No, they don't.
I'm going to have to bump these up a little bit earlier just for you guys, so you guys can join me more often.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.
And you're on my channel. And hi, everybody. I've been popping through the chat saying hi to... Oh, we also have Maggie's here. And Maggie says, happy birthday to you, Barrett. We have Richard's here. We have so many people here. Thank you guys for coming. Michael is here. And Michael is going to be our special guest who's going to join us on Twitch when we switch over, because we're going to lose 2 of our lovely co-hosts.
Oh, I see he's our replacement, is he? I see, yeah.
She's got a team.
Yes.
If you haven't
Got
liked the stream yet, please do.
Yes.
For Nia's sake.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So you guys want to... Y'all had some really good... Y'all always do. Some of these, I'm like, do we really want to get into this? And then I'm like, yes, we do.
I feel like mine weren't that spicy.
You would think, right?
We'll see.
Well, it's because two of you had a similar opinion, and I'm like, but the opposite one. So I'm like, this will be interesting.
I'm excited for that.
Get your tea ready.
Yes. We have the tea ready.
I don't even remember what.
I just drank a bunch of tea this afternoon, but I can drink more.
I mean,
there you go.
Drink it. We don't spill it.
Not on my technology. I can't afford that.
Right. We got to spill the tea back a little. All right. So we'll have some nice, light, easy ones, and then there's some that are pretty juicy. So we'll see how this goes.
Richard had some good ones too. Put them in chat, Richard.
Yeah.
You had some spicy ones. Put them in there.
Yeah, put them in chat, and I can make a banner for them at around the halfway mark, so we can pop some of those up. All right. So opinion number one, you don't need to write every day in order to be a good writer versus you have to write every day.
You're shaking your head, Sarah, and I don't know what that means because it has both sides in the banner.
No, you don't need to write every day in order to be a good writer. No, you don't have to write every day in order to be a good writer. It's
I love it.
It's that's the opinion. You don't have to. If you have to write every day in order to be a good writer, I am not a good writer. Which I don't believe I am. It's touted as like this really important rule, but it is physically impossible for some people to write every day. Between any physical disabilities that they might have, or chronic illnesses, or full-time work, or kids, or full-time school, and saying
or
if you don't write every day you can't be a good writer is sort of like gatekeeping these people from being a good writer. So I agree.
I think writing every day only dictates when your book gets finished. That's about it.
Yeah.
Good point.
The drafting stage, like that doesn't even cover editing and revision.
No.
Yeah, it just changes how fast the book takes to be made. That's it.
Yeah. Also, as a pantster, I don't plan, which means that if I'm just drafting a story, for those days that I'm drafting the story, I pretty much have to write consecutively. Otherwise, I forget what's happening. So I can easily come back later on, but I'll have a whole new other idea because it's gone from my mind. But yeah, I don't write every day.
We're going to talk about that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm with you, Charlie. I can't. We're going to talk about some of these because I'm already.
I'm seeing some of
I'm not saying which one,
I know
but
one of them.
I'm not saying which one, but one of them I'm like, excuse me.
I know which one I think already.
There are 3 that I'm like, oh, I totally disagree with, and there's one where I'm like, yeah.
I mean, some of these opinions.
Okay, now I'm for.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
see, some of these I don't even have opinions.
I told you, Richard had some good ones.
We should have had Richard on.
Yeah, Richard should have been on here.
You need a link, Richard.
I mean, he'll take it. Be careful what you wish for. Yeah, those were the spicy ones. So he definitely brought
Richard can join on Twitch
in the open.
like
Yeah,
Michael, and then we'll have 2 for the 2.
Oh, that is true.
And 2 come in.
He is also UK, so we have to see how late can you stay up, Richard?
Look, I got you guys on here, and I'm just saying that last time we had someone who hung with us the whole time. I don't know how he did it, actually.
Oh, RP.
RP. I'm like, how? But
Rum.
RP
Do you not remember it was rum?
Or he sleeps all the time. There's like no in between with him.
Yeah, he was running on like rum and pure like energy drinks.
Yeah.
I love Richard's next comment.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Exactly. It's over.
Oh my god.
Then go all in.
Yeah, you might as well.
Go for it. Go for it.
If you get canceled for believing in something, at least you believed in something.
Exactly.
Or the Hamilton version. If you fall for nothing, what do you stand for?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole chest.
Yeah. I'm totally here with you guys. I don't think you need to write every day. I've already said part of my writing process is not even writing. I will say, though, if you have a deadline, you need to make sure you can write enough to hit your deadline, especially if it's a hard deadline. Don't know how you make that happen. I'm indie publishing because my life is kind of crazy.
But you should know yourself. So, like, if you have a deadline, don't lie to yourself and say, I want to write every single day if you've never been able to sustain that before.
Exactly. If you're like some people who can do like 3 days where you're cranking out 10, 15,000 words, do that. But don't tell yourself, I'll just write 1,000 words a day if you know you're not going to do it. And then you hit your deadline. It's like,
Yeah, like I set at the beginning of the year that I want to do something writing related every single day. And so far I've been able to keep that. But that's because I relaxed it and said to myself, knowing that I probably wouldn't write every single day. So I've changed it to writing related things. So be it like working on my platform or doing plots, or even if it's on a different project entirely, another book, like I'm doing something productive. And so that's how I kind of went at it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. Yep.
Even when you actually, like any real job that you have, you don't work every day in your life, you know?
Right.
Absolutely.
I will address this one now because, yes, I agree. We do a relay, and I refuse to call it a 10K day. I refuse, because what if you can't do 10K in that day? So we called it the like 5K, 10K, 5K, 2K, whatever K, because whatever that means to you, it might be 0K, but you have plotted out a whole idea in your head, or maybe you needed to get some artwork done for your project, whatever. Like for me, your productivity, as long as it's going towards what you need it to go towards, you're good. You're good. But hey,
burns me out. Like 3K burns me out to the point that I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do a 5K or a 10K. But I'm also the type of person, at least now, who can be like, okay, 10K is because it's like a good search term. I'm not going to kill myself to reach that. Versus Keelan Rivers, who like will. And I'm like stop.
That's amazing. And if you can, more power to you.
Oh, but like she's not like Cahill Harry, who can like do a 10K and be like, oh, that was easy. I think next time I'm gonna try and do a 20K. And I'm like, good for you, not me.
Wow. Yeah, see, I don't know if I even have the time in one day to spend all that time writing. So
I agree.
Also, I 100% think it's the mentality going in, because if you've never written 10K before, or if you've written 10K in the past, or you've done, a 10K relay in the past and you didn't make 10K, you can possibly be going into this new day with knowing that you didn't make it the last time, and so you might not make it this time, or you're just nervous and you don't think you can do it, and that's not very helpful.
No.
10K
depends how fast you write as well.
It's a challenge.
Yes.
I'm
down for a challenge,
does 10K days, like all the time. Like I did 3 of them last week.
Wow.
But you're also the person who does 7K in 7 days, okay?
Also, Miss, I wrote a novel in 3 days.
Yeah,
I love watching challenge videos. I know my limits, and I'm like, I will watch and I will ask to be created until the end of time, but I'm not gonna try and do it. Although I did do the 5 a.m. challenge, and the first time was okay, and the second time was a disaster, to the point that I didn't even go. I was like, I am not putting up like the 5 clips I have of like every single day. It's like 2 clips. It's maybe like 2 clips of every day, and I was like, that's no.
Yeah. See, I go ahead, Barrett.
No, I was sorry. I was going to say that could be a different unpopular opinion, but how many of us feel like a lot of the like all day writing tags really don't think through, like, this is a visual medium. So like, do we have to start these at 4 and 5 a.m. when I really am not just like looking my best for that B-roll either? Like in the future, let's plan those after like 10, 11, and then that's more my speed.
Exactly. But the first time I planned to kick off, I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to do this first thing in the morning. We're kicking this off at like 11 o'clock because I know myself. I've got way too many things to do in the morning. It's hard for me to get my brain concentrating on writing when I've got this. I've got a whole list of things I need to do in the day. I need to accomplish some
Mom
of the list.
of 4 and puppy mom. And other things.
Yeah.
And I work. And people think, because I'm a fitness instructor, so I will teach a class that's an hour class. So I might teach 2 or 3 classes a day, or just 1 class a day. But there's hours and hours of prep work. I can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this today at my class and go. I've got to actually do the thing. And then the thing, I'm burning so many calories. There are days where I burn more calories than I could possibly take in, and I feel exhausted. But it's not because the workout's bad. It's because I'm working out before I actually get to work out. So, you know, this just the burning too many calories. So it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's worth it because, like I said, I do have 4 kids. And so, you know, whatever I can do.
Yeah. Gotta stay fit, keep up.
Oh gosh, and barely. And I'm getting up there, Barrett. I'm way older than you, Barrett.
Well, you got a puppy.
You're
So you like went the extra mile of like, hey,
I
know what to do myself.
did.
I'll get a puppy.
I did. My kids.
Hey, one of my kids went to college. You know what would be fun? Being held to every single whim of a perpetual toddler.
This puppy is like a toddler. Like literally will sit on my feet to keep me from moving. I'm like,
Riley's
I
9,
remember this.
and it doesn't get better.
Oh.
Not that I'd ever ask for her to change, but
Riley's 9. I didn't know Riley was 9.
oh yeah, she's
wow.
9, and I met someone at a restaurant today who like had a bulldog who was 3, and the owner was like, "Oh, I like to say he's 3 going on 1 because he still acts like a puppy," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna say Riley is 9 going on 2 because she's definitely more mature than she was when she was a puppy. But if you put her next to a puppy, she's not. She's an officially an adult dog, which happens when they turn 2, according to vets.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Richard, what are you doing? No.
They keep going. I do love pineapple on pizza. I'll agree with you.
I like pineapple pizza.
Yeah, nice.
What?
I agree.
No.
That's good.
On that one,
Oh my gosh.
I don't do it all the time, but like I have to be in the mood.
I love
for
how
it,
we're called
but
by.
I do
I
like
don't do it all the time, just sometimes. like drinking beer. It's like I don't drink beer all the time, just like once in a while at parties.
My son keeps swearing up and down. He goes, "No, you're gonna love it," because I do like sweet and spicy. So he's like, "No, you would love pineapple." I'm like, I just can't.
Just try one time.
Yeah.
It's good.
One bite, and you can make a YouTube short of it or something, so you can get the views. Cover for the views, like Kate does on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Or
look at
Sarah, who recently said in her last vlog, "I'm slowly losing the will to live."
Oh. I know, right? Look at this one. I saw that and thought, wow, he's really going for it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh.
Full throttle.
Really.
Proper
really.
literature.
If you're still up when we switch to Twitch, Barrett might send you a link, Richard.
Switch to Twitch. That rhymed.
Oh, it did. I
It's
like
poetry. Is she being pretentious right now?
that. Yeah, Richard.
Are you going to have your invitation revoked before we even guarantee that you're going to be able to accept it?
Oh,
Well,
I'm
he
that
didn't-
person who will stir the pot if I'm with friends.
We did have that one opinion that's really going to get in her craw if she gets to talk about it.
Uh-oh. Which one?
About graphic novels and comics, I think.
I don't know if I want to hear because you know I love me some graphic novels
Me
and
too.
comics. So,
Me too.
do you want to address it really quick, Barrett?
No, I think you should. Or you're doing one now, aren't you?
Yeah, I think they're great, and they're not just for children. They're for anybody who loves them, and not everybody reads for the same reasons. I don't always want to pick up a literary masterpiece. If I'm reading late at night, I want to just have a good time, read something, have fun. It doesn't have to be, War and Peace.
I'm about to cancel myself, but I never read to pick up a literary masterpiece. I pick up a book to be entertained. And if it is a literary masterpiece, then great. But
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Not.
Yeah.
Like if you write something and it's not, super full of prose and not super literary and, it's not making you think about society, I don't care. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it.
If your grammar is readable and the plot is compelling and your characters don't make me want to throw the book at their face, I'm generally okay.
Yeah, so this is how I feel about comics and graphic novels. Like, enjoy,
Yeah, and I think
you're missing out if you don't like them. You're missing out.
100%, and I think they can be a great gateway drug to books for kids that aren't already drawn to reading or had an experience earlier in their life. Like when I worked with kids when I was still teaching college level, I see kids who weren't readers that would try graphic novels, and it would turn them into maybe not readers like I would be or you guys would be, but they would try books and stuff after they found a few graphic novels that they could identify with and be like, oh yeah, I kind of like that story and I like this. And I was like, well, if you like this, you might like that. Or they may have a movie adaptation that after they read a graphic novel, they're like, oh, I could read a book because I read that. And so
the
maybe
Guts series by this
so
is
I don't know.
Sabrina.
Exactly.
I always forget
Sabrina.
her last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 of my sons are on different ends of the spectrum. One of them didn't like to read because in 1st grade they were giving him books like He Ran There, Jan Ran, and he didn't like that. And so I would tell the teacher he can read perfectly fine. And I went and got him books, and he still he reads more mature than I do. Like his reading, he suggests books to me, and I'm like, whoa, okay, yeah. He knows what I like though. Like after all my books got ruined, he got me some Neil Gaiman books because he's like, oh mom, I'm like, how did you know? Yes.
After all your books got ruined. Wait, what?
Hurricanes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's why I'm a minimalist. Well, the things we lost. My mom lost all of her Disney VHSs, like the originals. Like we lost things that hurricanes, like when people say it's like it's just stuff and some things can't be replaceable, but it's like we survived it. And why people cry so hard when they lose things, because we've lost photos. Like my kids have only the photos that we keep in the house. The photos that we had like boxed up in attics, gone. So
people who say you can don't cry over stuff because you can always replace it. A, super privileged, and B, like don't think about the intangible things that are tied to physical things.
Yeah.
They've never lost stuff.
Yeah,
maybe.
Sorry, it's okay. I was just going to say the VHSs, not only did we get them when we were kids, but they stayed at my mom's house, and my kids grew up on them. So they knew everything from Sleeping Beauty, the original Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, through all of the Beauty and the Beast. That's what we were getting when we were kids.
Did you have the Lion King where it has SCX when he lies down in the...
Yes, we also had the original mermaid cover with the yes, because we had all of
the body part.
Yeah, we had all. Yeah. So, but that's another thing. But but my other son on the other end of the spectrum didn't like to read at all. He has aphantasia. He can't see what you tell him. He's just like, okay, and I'm like, but can you picture that? He's like, not really, but that's fine. And he just keeps on going. But so he didn't like reading. And the first books that I got for him were graphic novels, and he devoured them. So there you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up, Richard.
Absolutely.
Yes. Let's see. Everyone needs a social media. This is a takeoff on that everyone needs a Twitch, which I don't think everyone needs a Twitch. However, this one, I think if you're going to be a writer, you don't need to be known. You can still be anonymous. You don't have to put your face, but I think you have to have some place where people can find your stuff.
Okay, I just had my marketing class last night for the first time that I was physically there because I was waiting all last week to find out that I didn't have COVID. There went your monetization, sorry.
My gosh, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
It was like I was just being safe rather than sorry. And anyway, my teacher for this class in my grad school program is, she works for Little Brown. And she was saying that like, not everyone should be on Twitter because if you hate Twitter, no one's going to have a good time on your account and things like that. Yeah. But I agree that like everyone should have something, whether that's like a one-page website with a newsletter sign up and nothing else, or, you know, maybe a few things, but only do like what makes you happy. Or you can try things, but don't like keep doing something that you absolutely hate because again, no one's going to have fun.
Yeah, it depends what you're trying to achieve as well. If you want to try and build that platform and you want an audience, then yes, you do kind of need social media to be able to connect and promote things. But if you really don't care, if you just want to write for yourself and you don't intend to publish it or anything like that, then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I'd say if you, to piggyback off that, it's totally whether you want to make money or not. Like if you have a goal of I want to make money or make back what I spent if I'm self-publishing especially, then yeah, you're going to have a way to reach people and readers. And yeah, I don't know a way you can get around that. You know, I don't know. Who was it the Hunger Games author who wouldn't do social media like at all or something, like famously? But like she's the last one I could think of that like recently has come out of publishing, didn't have something or some way to find them online, website, something. And she had a career before too that kind of made her known. So I don't know. I don't know how you could do it without any.
Also, Lionsgate did so much once the movies were that like she didn't need to.
Yeah.
Like you can't bank on that happening for you.
Yeah.
No. Oh my gosh, no. So
I don't think I think that if you're traditionally publishing, I don't think you need necessarily a social media to traditionally publish. But afterwards, you're gonna have to make one.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I hate this one so much.
Depends, I suppose, on how much, if you are traditionally published, how much marketing your publisher is going to provide for you.
Yeah. So I hear some people. Yeah, I was just going to say, I hear some people still have to do almost as much work because they're so small that the publishing companies aren't really out there for them, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
And that's a numbers game, right? So that's the other thing I would say is Heidi Thorne, she's on here and does business of publishing is her whole thing. And she's got a doctorate in business and published a lot of books since 2011. So, and she does a thing every year where she does a study of authors around the world and gathers data on who sells what, makes what, whatever. But the thing she always says is you capture 1 to 2% of whatever your audience is. You can count on about 1 to 2% of your audience buying your stuff. So at that point, it's just a numbers game. You want to get as big as you can because you want to get as many of that 1 to 2% as you can. And of course, that's going to be a little different for your avid readers who are on your newsletter and stuff are going to be more avid than your folks on Instagram or Twitter or pick one, YouTube, whatever. But 1 to 2% is the number to put in your mind, or the one I have in my mind, where I'm like, I know I'm going to keep growing until I hit that 1 to 2% I'm comfortable with. And then from there, you know, I'll just eat bonbons and have people fan me with palm leaves all day.
Yeah.
That'll be great. Can't wait.
Writing advice is merely opinion and should be taken as such. It can be super toxic, and authors who give advice don't follow it. Somebody's sipping tea.
I mean, advice is just advice. Normally, people who give advice do have some sort of experience. But yeah, everyone's different and no one's saying that you have to follow it. It's not law or anything. And once again, I feel like depending on how you take criticism determines how toxic the advice is. If you ignore the actual, like, if someone says, oh my gosh, your work sucks and it needs to be thrown in, that is kind of toxic. But on the other side of things. And also, authors who give advice don't follow it. I mean, the advice is coming from somewhere. So I feel like most authors do follow the advice because it's from experience.
And I feel like especially on Authortube, people like won't reshare advice unless they've tested it out and liked it, or they're like, oh, I'm going to test it out. And then, you know, I'll update you on how I feel. And I hate the saying those who can't do teach, but even if that were true, I don't think that's the case with writing advice.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's subjective and it depends on like the knowledge of whoever's given the advice, because they could be critiquing something and saying that, oh, this doesn't work, but they're lacking so much background knowledge that the author has and the critiquer hasn't actually caught up to yet. So it really depends on the context of things.
I hate writing advice. I think writing advice is stupid and I hate it.
Tell us what you really think, Sarah.
Because I've been writing for a very, very long time, like a very, very long time. And I started writing before all the social media and all of the writing communities were online, and all of this type of advice started getting spread around. And when it started getting spread around, as these are rules that you must follow in order to be a good writer. And I know that I used to struggle with, you have to read every day, for example, is writing advice, that these are the rules. So I struggled a long time with, I don't read every day, so that must mean I'm not going to be able to grow and be a good writer because I don't read every day. Or said is dead, and like, you said, like, that must mean I'm such an awful writer. And I went through this phase where I just felt really bad about myself and my writing, because all of this writing advice, the really popular ones and the ones that you find all over the place, everyone was saying this is what you have to do in order to be a writer, and I wasn't doing it. So in that way, like, it can be really toxic, especially to new writers as well. I know a good few people who have stopped writing because of they weren't following the writing advice that was this is the writing advice you have to do. So I don't like it. You can have your, like, you can give writing advice about, this is how I draft, this is how I revise, but I take it more as opinion. If you don't do it, it's not the be all end of the world. And you shouldn't just blindly take the advice that you find from Stephen King, for example. I hate most of his writing advice as well. And you shouldn't, like, have that as the set rule. But a lot of people take it as a set rule because a lot of people spout it as the set rule that you have to follow.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I know when I first came on, you guys heard, I know Zara and Sarah, you guys have heard me. When I was brand new, I was like, I wrote this whole novel, but it's garbage because I did this and I did that. It was all things that when I first was watching Authortube, all of the people who I guess were, who I thought were the know-all of Authortube were saying, you can never do this and never do that and never do this. And I said, I did a bunch of those things. This novel is garbage. Put it away, I said, no, it's too messed up. I can't even go back to it because I did too many things. So no, it's totally fixable. And some of them are actually fine. Someone else read it and they're like, this is nice. Who's telling you? And I said, well, I did all of these things that the Authortube guys said you shouldn't do. So it must be awful. And they're like, no, this is not
sometimes
awful.
It's also a choice to do something. Like, you're like, okay, I know that the advice is not to do it, but this works for my story, so I'm going to do it. It's not always you made all these mistakes, and that's fine as long as you edit them out at the end. Sometimes it's like, if you consider it a mistake, okay, I can't change your mind, but, like, this was intentional, so.
Yeah. And some of them, I'm not saying that some of them do need to be fixed, and I'm fixing them now because I decided to go back to that novel and fix it for Vella, and it's doing fine. But I wouldn't have if I'd have stuck with that idea that, oh no, you just did everything wrong as a writer who knows nothing, coming into this realm. But after talking to other people and then reading other people's works, I'm like, some of these things I can do, but I can't do it too much. I can do it once or twice, and then I can do this if it flows with my story, just really learning how to be a better writer, versus just telling myself, these people are giving this advice, and so I did this wrong. So otherwise I would have been one of those people that said, I'm a terrible writer, and just walked away.
See, for me, when I look at, because I haven't been on Authortube for a long time. In fact, my 1 year anniversary is tomorrow. But thank you. But I was watching Authortube videos way before, as I was like growing up, and a lot of people put out advice videos, and I just remember that, like, those advice videos, when I first started watching them, I was like, this has to be the way, because I searched for them because I didn't know how to do it my own way, so I needed help. And so I found these advice videos, and to me they were like, okay, this is the only way. But then as I joined Authortube, I realized it's just a marketing technique. If you come onto YouTube and try and sell your advice, you have to look like you know what you're doing. You have to use like you have to do this or else type of thumbnails. Otherwise, people are like, okay, so what? What have you published? Can I see the list of things? What is your, so yeah, that's one thing that I do keep in mind now when I do watch advice videos, that they have to they want their channel to grow just like I want my channel to grow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's, Vicky, Fox, and Richard and Charlie's point, I think all in one. Because I think that's the toxic part, what Vicky's talking about. And I think it probably happens to more people than not. And then Richard said something about knowing queen bees that sometimes come off as patronizing. And I think that happens a lot too. So I think that's a thing. But then also what Charlie was saying, where I think now I'm a little more aware in the last couple of years of the people who are, speaking of the marketing, are there to not sell me a book, but sell me a program, or sell me a system, or sell me a like a that. And so without getting into another unpopular opinion, that is a dumpster fire that I think adds to the toxicity and that whole problem with the advice side, and why the type of advice I'll give people won't be about writing, because I don't have that to give. So I give advice about things I can help with, and then other stuff I can't. So that's not my wheelhouse. Because of that, because I don't want to ever be somebody who's like, hey, I can't write a book, but I can sell you a program of how you can write a book for $9.99 or whatever it is, right? So, and sorry to anybody in the audience who's selling a course right now. Sorry.
I mean, my upcoming podcast with Kelly Wright, who's another Authortuber, we talk about advice that we've heard, and we kind of rip into it, and then we also we have an episode that's like our favorite writing advice. None of these have come out yet, sorry everyone. They're coming out later this month, but every time we talk about a topic, so like world building or character creation or whatever, we're like, this is what we've been told, and this is what we did, and this is why we changed what we did, because like the first time it didn't work out well, or it did, but we're always like, this is what we do. And we hope that some of this is like interesting to you.
That's the only way that I give advice, because I love world building, but I always caveat that whenever someone asks me about it, is that I enjoy this. So when I'm doing these deep dives and I'm doing timelines and I'm doing family trees and stuff, it's because I enjoy that. It's almost therapeutic for me. If it's not for you, you're going to have a completely different experience. Do I need all of the stuff that I do? Probably not, but I'm enjoying it when I'm doing it. So that's why I do it. So I don't know. I try to tell people things. I've like, try this or try that, but it's never, this is gospel. This is how world building must be done, because I don't know if that's going to work for you. There are things that people have told me that I'm like, I know that is not going to work for me. If I try that, I'm just going to fall flat. It's not going to work.
Half of Kate Kavanaugh's like, write like so-and-so vlogs. I'm like, holy crap, I could never do this. Like I watch those vlogs and think like, how does she do this? Like, I could not give this a half a day.
Like I love watching them, but most of the time I'm like, I can't.
Same. I watch them. I'm one of the thousands, but I sit there and think to myself, like, I could not do this. Like,
thinking back to our world building episode, which was the last one I edited, I do think we might say you should do certain things, but it basically all boils down to like, you should do enough so that you can write your story. And we said that you shouldn't like always do world building to the point that you're not actually writing, like that you keep putting it off and never get to it. I think those are the only two things that we like say should, and then everything else is like, this is what we do.
Exactly.
Oh, Vicky's point is 150% true. Especially if your goal is to grow the channel. So yes, because you're using a search model, which is smart to do for growth, and yes, you're 100% right. And same on the hate videos, which I think we talked about in the last one. Like the videos where like you hate something always gets more. We're like, I love these people. Come listen to me talk about how great they are. No one comes.
No one wants to hear that.
Or you're like, come meet my kids and my dog. No one cares. Literally no one cares. But like, oh, I hate so-and-so who's a fellow Authortuber. Boom, you'll blow up. You'll have just crazy. So I don't know.
And it's not, it's not just in Authortube, but it's also like in every community and in books too. I love all the how to write a novel books, because they're all like, there's so many of them, everyone has a different perspective, and all of them always say, you can't say said. And I'm like, I just read this in 5 different other novels. Thanks. Close his book.
Yeah. And I love the advice that contradicts themselves. Like, don't use a bunch of dialogue tags. Use said as your go-to, but then don't use said. I'm like, don't use said, but I'm like, whatever.
In that case, it's like the variety is amazing, but it's also like you have so many opinions that you just realize that there is no right one. So you just bought all these books to sit on your shelf.
I do think that if every single one of your dialogue tags is something other than said, I'm going to get fatigued and be like, come on. Like, sometimes you just say something.
Well, sometimes it's true. Sometimes you just say, sometimes it doesn't need a dialogue tag, and sometimes it needs a fancy dialogue tag. It just depends on how the story's flowing.
But it's like, don't do all of them all the time. Because if you have a whole conversation without any dialogue tags, at some point,
I get lost.
As I can follow, I'm going to be like, this line could be told from either person. And I don't know if the person like did a wrong paragraph break.
Yep.
Or so it's just like, you can't take writing advice for dialogue the whole way through, no matter what. Like, I think
and there's different ways of doing it. It's stylistic. It depends on like what perspective you're writing in, first, second, third, present, past, and that can all influence it, because I'm writing first present, and I don't do the he said, she said stuff. You write it into it. You can talk about the expression of that person, and you know, that kind of thing can describe who is talking in that moment as well. So there's like different ways of doing it, and it's so stylistic and subjective as well.
Exactly. You write stylistically, so the advice is stylistically.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is the first time I went to a writer's group with my guild here in St. Louis, and I turned in something, and I tried the dialogue tag of no seds, trying all different kinds of things. I'll never forget the person across from me when we were done came across, and she was like, that was so great. She's like, why don't you use any dialogue tags? And I said, I tried to. I didn't try to use said. And she's like, oh, but none of those were dialogue tags. This was action, and this was, so it ended up, I didn't even have dialogue tags. I ended up doing stuff that wasn't dialogue tags instead. And that was a fun little learning curve. So I thought for that too, because I see that all the time when CPs hand me stuff where I'm like, oh, this isn't actually a dialogue tag though. It's like action.
Yeah, it's like, I like that, because as somebody with, so it works for both of us, because I have hyperphantasia. She has aphantasia. Yeah. I like it when people are telling me like he's talking as he's taking a sip of his tea. I like that. It fills in the picture for me. I know some people don't like that.
Same thing.
I have aphantasia, so I can't imagine it, but I can imagine myself doing it. And then like the imagined body posture gives me the emotional feedback, even though like none of it's real. So
that's interesting.
I can't like see the person doing it, but it's like, oh, if I know what they're doing, I can get into their head more.
Yeah. And for me, I totally see that person sitting in the room having this conversation, sipping their tea. I see all of it. So yeah, when you give me too much description, ooh, buddy, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Maggie also came tonight with all the spicy opinions. I'm sorry, you put me over at her unpopular pins, and I'm like, boy, she's just bringing the heat too. Like, woo, all right. Just all trad pub covers.
Yeah. This one's funny.
Fight them all.
I think there is truth to that, because for a really long time, all of YA dystopia looked the same. But I could still point to a series and be like, I haven't read you yet. But at the same time, am I going to after I read like 6 others kind of like you? I don't know. I might need a break. But then at the same time, there are so many books in all different types of genres that are now just going for like really highly stylized text. And, you know, like these Violent Delights, and someone, I think the person who did that cover I actually follow on Instagram, and they just do like fun text graphics for their own social media. And then on top of like your traditional covers that I've published, I'm like, you are in entirely different genres. But if you're pretty, I'm going to pick you up at least long enough to read the description. So I think there are certain like design trends that always go. Also, it's really hard for them to sell books with yellow covers apparently. And So that's why there's rarely yellow as like a dominant color in a book cover. I learned that last 2 semesters ago. But
I don't know, for some, I think yellow would make me think it's like a textbook or something. I don't know why, but I think of an instruction book or a manual.
The only yellow book I own is an instructional book.
Yellow makes me think of the Dummies series.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Also, if they're traditionally published elitist, does that mean they're indie published elitist? Is that what I'm sensing from this, or did I make that up?
I think they're saying that they're like gatekeepers and they're elitist about if they're traditionally published and who gets into traditionally published houses and things like that. But I wasn't totally sure because I'm pretty sure a verb is missing in that comment. So
I feel like that is on both sides. I think there are people on both sides that feel very strongly that one way is better than the other. And I think there are folks on both sides that kind of look down their nose at the other.
I was trying to define the unpopular opinion comment. I wasn't stating my own. I just want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was just like I don't know. It's like
I'm not claiming that one.
So Charliee, yes, I think it happens on both sides because I know some self-pub people who are just like, oh, those trad pub people are trash, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm still here.
Yeah.
If you can't take criticism, you shouldn't be a writer.
Yeah.
I mean,
or at least not a public writer.
Yeah, not a public writer is what I would say.
But you can say that about literally anything in life because eventually you're going to have to learn to take criticism from somewhere.
100%.
And yeah. And like
boyfriends, this applies to. It's like, sorry about you. Sent you some notes. You could have improved. You didn't. That's why you're the ex. Like, it's criticism. Here we go.
If you can't take criticism, I don't think you're going to succeed in life because life is all about interpersonal connections, even if you're not like putting yourself out there for like something you're creating. But yeah, I think if you can't take or learn to take criticism, you're going to have a hard time making writer friends and also a really hard time with reviews, which I know authors aren't supposed to read, but you're going to see them at some point on the internet.
Or hear about them. Your friend's going to say, hey, I read a review about that book you wrote and it was terrible. It's like, it'll be hard, but you know, it's one thing to say you can't take the criticism. It's another thing to say you can take the criticism, but that doesn't mean it doesn't still hurt.
Yeah, it can hurt. Just don't lash out. Never lash out.
Yeah. Don't attack everybody. Don't go on the Goodreads and let everybody know how your struggle. And
I love to compare these two examples because, the positive one, I'm just going to say her name, Adrienne Young. I've like read all her books and I've looked at all the reviews because I wanted the spoilers before I finished the book. And it's so, like, I read her books in order of the way she wrote them. And it's so amazing because I've seen how she's, like, taken the criticism from one book and added it or changed it or altered and developed her writing style in a second book. And I think that is so cool, and that's definitely how you take criticism. But then I recently watched or heard of this person who published a book, got a really bad review, and kind of blew up on social media because she, like, talked badly about this review on YouTube and on Twitter and on Instagram, and I was like, why? If you're gonna
wasn't that one like it was a 3-star review or something?
Yeah.
A 3-star review is not even that bad.
Yeah, and people were like, 3 is a good book. 3 is a good book. 4 is better. 5 is amazing. If you're like at 1 or 2 stars or worse, a DNF, then you can like be upset.
Exactly. Yeah.
And not publicly. Don't be publicly upset.
Not publicly. No.
That was like a privilege problem. That was like I'm sorry. I thought I was supposed to get 100% on all the papers, Professor. No.
Yeah.
And I know it's cheesy, but haters be hating. Like some people just like to troll, and some people just comment on things that they're not into anyway, just because they want to stir things. So you know, you can't take everything to heart all the time.
I will say if you see a trend emerging from reviews, if you have the stomach to read them, maybe think about the constructive criticism that is there, even if some people are very mean about how they say it. But otherwise, if they're just, I had a review. I put my book up through like a group on, I'm now blanking on it. What's the one? Edelweiss, which like traditional publishing like swears by, and I'm very happy to use it like for research and stuff. But I put my book up there to be reviewed, and it's the cover, paranormal romance, the description, paranormal romance, the metadata, paranormal romance. Got a review from someone who got the book for free, and then basically said they hated everything that made it paranormal romance, and I'm like,
why? Are you
like I was
this?
like, why? Yeah. I didn't take anything what they said to heart, because I'm like, you just don't like the genre, which is fine. But then why did you request a book that is like 100% in this genre?
Exactly.
Yep.
That's their fault. It's like they chose a book they were going to hate. It's like what's wrong with you? It's like choosing black walnut ice cream. No one likes black walnut ice cream.
Unless you do, which I don't know, but walnuts would tell me, so I'm never going to find out if I like it or not.
Yeah, Richard, this is one of the reasons why I like Brandon Sanderson, is like he tells you the whole deets on how he got, and he also explains that this was back quite a while ago now, so that things are changing, and he'll try to sometimes, if he can, bring on a guest that's more currently breaking through, so that you can actually know how it's being done. Because I feel like that there are people out there that don't really want you to know how they do it. Oh my gosh, thank you, Eva. Did not have to do that, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, I love it. I don't even know what that is, but it's very fancy. I'm all about butter pecan, Margaret. Pralines and cream, that's my jam.
Dynamics will have complexity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I also think social media makes it feel more like it's coming at the author instead of where the author goes out and seeks it. So I don't know. I think that makes it harder too sometimes.
There's the whole thing about
don't at authors.
Don't at authors, but there was a thing
or
on
hashtag.
Instagram.
Really. Sorry.
Well, here's the thing.
Authors should not. Oh,
Sorry,
I was going to say really quick. Authors should not go to the hashtags, but the people doing the people who are doing the reviews should not at the author. We can keep that separate if you can't handle
my
it.
marketing professor was telling us, she didn't say the name of an author of hers who flipped out on the fact that people were using a hashtag. It's like, the hashtag is not for you. Like,
the hashtag is for us to find the topic.
Yeah, it's like we've dealt with don't tag authors. I'm sure some people are still doing it, but like we've shared that that's not a good idea. But the hashtag is not for you, so stay in your lane.
Yeah.
I'm trying to click through some of these. We're going to get ready to take we'll do a 15-minute break, and then we'll come back and finish out the hour. Try to get a few more of these unpopular opinions in before we switch over to Twitch. So are you guys ready for a break?
Sure.
I love how we end this on ice cream.
Yeah.
100% getting a snack.
I don't know if
which is why we're taking the break now, because I saw this and I was like, yum. Let me grab that really quick. Oh wait, I'm on a live stream.
I don't think I have ice cream, but I do have a cupcake I can eat, so I'll probably do that.
Oh, well, that sounds just awful.
Let me find a timer. Because I've
the
been all
hashtag
over
is
the
for
place.
marketers, however, and some authors for their own marketers just don't respond. You know, it's hard. Yeah, my thing would be use the hashtags until the day of publication, and then don't look at it again. Then if you're the author, unsubscribe from it from that day forward. Use it until
use it to raise awareness of your thing, and as someone said, like, don't tag in a negative review. I tag people on Twitter all the time if I'm like, oh my god, I just read their book and I really loved it and I can't wait for the next book.
Same good stuff. Yes.
Like, that will make any author's day. And also, I made some traditional author friends that way, like years ago. And I don't do it for that, but I'm like, you know, I'm already enthusiastic about it. There's no reason I'm not going to tag the author.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, one thing you can do while we're on our break, you could go through and say hi and like and subscribe to everybody. That would be awesome. Yes. They would appreciate it. They're fantastic, obviously. That's why I have them here, because I like them so much. All right, so we're going to do a 15-minute break, and then we will come back and chat about some more things. And yeah, feel free to put your unpopular opinions down there in the chat. I will copy some of them down. In the future, we're going to do some other Authortubers React topics, but we will come back to some of these unpopular opinions if you guys want to in the future. All right, so let's do 15 minutes. Here we go. See you guys in a bit. Okay, lovely co-host, that is time. We're back. Some people I think are still enjoying their snacks.
I'm almost done with mine.
I had a couple bites of a cinnamon bagel, and then I was like, "Oh, I need to post the Twitch link." So,
Maggie,
for
I
those-
saw that you said, how are my birthday snakes, not snacks. I was like,
Snakes.
snakes. Where are those snakes?
Where are those? All right, let's wrap up this last topic. Maggie says, I think the advent of social media desensitizes. It means people will now leave more purposefully harmful reviews. Yeah, I see that sometimes. Like, they don't have to, the reviews don't have to be extra salty or extra, but they just make them that way, especially if it's posted on social media, just so that people will notice it, I guess, or they'll think it'll stand out or get attention. And for some reason, in some social media realms, even negative attention, I guess, is good. And so,
Because people have more guts when they're hiding behind a computer screen.
this is true.
100%.
That is it. Absolutely.
But I don't read book reviews. Like, I'll look at a rating, and if it's like, if the book still interests me, I probably won't care. But if I'm like buying something, I'll look at the rating, the average rating, and then click on like the worst reviews to see like what's really wrong with the thing and see if there's a trend. And but like with the book, I'm like, I don't really care what other people think.
Yeah, I agree. If it's a genre that I'm into and a writing style that I'm into, then I'll go for it anyway.
Yep.
I don't like looking at things like reviews or hype, because there are so many books that I've heard about that have been hyped up, like, oh, this is so fantastic, this is great, and I've read it and I'm like, what's so great about it? It sucks. I hated it. So if it sounds interesting, if the premise sounds interesting enough for me to want to read it, I'll read it. But I can't with anyone else's opinions on it. Because I find that my opinions, especially regarding YA, are a lot different than other people's are. So yeah, it's just it's got to sound interesting. That's all I care about.
Same. Like, there are certain people I know their reading taste. So if they do a review, I'll pay more attention to that, because I'm like, I know they have similar tastes to me as mine. So I'm like that, but just in general, the overall 4-star, 5-star, no, because a lot of books get 5 stars and I wasn't able to even read excerpts and enjoy it. I'm like, this is the good stuff. Yeah, no, this is terrible. But that's just my opinion.
I felt the same way about that book, and everybody loved that book.
Someone's gonna have to tell me what that book is.
One of us is lying.
Oh, I didn't like it.
I didn't get it. Like, I mean, I got it, but I mean, like, I didn't.
I felt so cheated.
Yeah, same. So I didn't love that one, but I know a lot of people love that one. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I told my mom the premise. I basically explained it in comp titles to her. Like, it's like this with this and whatever. And she's like, oh, that is shitty. And I'm like, it just saved you like however many hours you would have possibly read it.
Yeah. The only review I care about usually is I have a librarian at my library. That is my girl. She knows what I like, and she can hand me, like, point me, even sometimes the self-pub stuff that she's read, that she's like, try this book or this person. And she is never let me down. So she's also my secret weapon for comp titles. So that's a hack for anybody that's trying Trap Up.
My older cousin is the one who turned me on to The Giver and The Golden Compass. And she has never led me wrong, but I haven't had time to pick up her like more recent recommendations, like The Power, the one with the palm and the electricity and stuff. It sounds amazing. But it's like, I know she's never led me wrong,
right?
And I've never led her wrong in return,
right?
So like, if she says something, I'll listen. Or if like another writer friend who like really knows me, I'll listen, and that's the only review I care about. But like, if it's online, I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Justin's a former librarian. That's interesting.
All right, I'm gonna try and get Vicky's. It's hard to get these in order, so there you go. I had to go backwards. I'm like, oh my goodness. So this is fun. Like, yeah. And it's always anonymous. Where's the
Is this
third
about
one?
reviews?
Yeah, it's basically don't reply, like don't go after someone who leaves a review that you disagree with.
Yeah. Leave it alone. Just leave it alone, because you're never going to look. It's never going to be a good look. I think Maggie had a comment about that too. And it's like author-splaining. If you have to start author-splaining, then you're just in a bad spot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If someone dislikes your book, you're not going to be able to change their mind about it. No matter how much you explain, or no matter how much they don't like it, they don't like it. There's no point in trying to sway their opinion after they've read the book.
There's no way to make everyone like your book.
That.
Yep.
No.
Period.
Impossible.
Yep. And if you make a mistake, if you put out a book and you don't, and you're publishing it yourself, and maybe you don't have other people read it and give you some feedback from different communities, and you find out after the fact you've done something stupid, just apologize and acknowledge it and move forward. And that is your best bet, instead of the double down method and just on the Twitters and places and do things. So.
Yeah, don't do the double down. If you don't know what you did wrong, say, I don't know what I did, but I sincerely am going to look into this, and I apologize for anyone who I have offended. Not if you felt offended, please.
No.
If I offended you, I apologize.
I felt it. That's why we're talking about it.
It's not I'm sorry you got offended by my actions. It's I'm sorry I offended you with my actions.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people like to see improvement.
You took it the wrong way. No. Yeah.
Also, if you're asking, or if you're saying like I don't know what I did wrong, make it clear that you're not putting it on the offended group to explain their trauma to you.
I will look into this. The work is on me. I did the problem
myself.
I will look into what exactly, and again, I apologize.
Yeah, it's like I'm sorry. I don't totally understand what I did wrong, but I will look into it and avoid doing this in the future. Thank you for your feedback, type of thing. Like you're not like, oh, can someone tell me what I did wrong? It's like,
no,
they're not your sensitivity readers, which you should be paying if you have sensitivity readers.
Well, and that's the only, when I think of responding to a review, that's the only kind I see authors doing that I think maybe they should say something, because clearly a bunch of people thought it was insert whatever it was. But if you're going to do it, just apologize, move on, it's over. We're all better for it. And I agree with Vicky, there should be no if in an apology.
Yeah.
Just that word shouldn't be in it. Like in general, there should just be no if.
Exactly.
Oh yes, Eva, I know I did reply. That was not good. It's in a critique group though, so.
Yeah. By the way, if you guys are not in on this critique group, you are missing out. I'm just saying.
We're doing fun things. It's fun.
Yes.
I'm trying to pull Charliee in as my next co-host, and I'm gonna see if Nia wants to come play too. Although it's a few weeks before another big thing we have coming. So
yeah, I might have to wait a while because I actually have a lot of things, but I would be looking forward to it in the future for sure.
As long as you know.
Is this YouTube tags or like book metadata tags? Because if you're talking about book metadata tags, changing it every week is way too fast. You're not going to be able to measure the success of stuff if you're changing it that frequently.
Explain what that is to me, Zara. Is that in in your Amazon? Like when you're
the keywords.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Or like on YouTube, you're entering the hashtags, or on Instagram, and people can edit their content, and that's fine if you're trying to get more views or reach a different audience than you already have. But if you are changing stuff constantly, self-publishing makes it so that you can basically every 72 hours, if you go by Amazon's measurement. That doesn't mean you should.
How often do you change up stuff or try things and say, oh, I'm going to try some different metadata? What do you use?
So I definitely don't change it as much as I probably should, but because I also really like my book description, it hasn't really failed me like it's grabbed people. The place where I've fallen down with getting book sales is I just don't really market it because school has always come first, and I've been in school the entire time I've had a self-publishing career.
Yeah.
But I think if your book is like years old and it's not selling and no one is interested in it, even if you're like, oh, like if you haven't read my earlier book, like maybe try this. Then look at changing the description on Amazon and Goodreads. They should match. Otherwise, there might be an SEO problem. You can have, you can, on your website, if you have one, you can have the old description as like the longer one, and then the shorter one be the new updated one, so that you can still get SEO from both of those. You should look at, if you have what's it called? Publishers Rocket, I think at this point. I had it when it was KD Roy. And the other one that was paired with it. You should look at keywords and how they're doing, and also just use Amazon yourself as if you're typing in the keyword that you're looking for and see what it auto completes with, and then do the same with Google and just see what is working. The Publisher Rocket plugin, and probably a few others, but that's the one I always see, will rank like how competitive and crowded certain keywords are, the same way TubeBuddy does for YouTube videos. So, yeah, I think you should change them if stuff is clearly not working. But I don't think if you're okay with where you are,
just changing it for no reason.
Yeah, because a marketing change should always happen for a reason, and that you're testing something.
Right.
Ooh, thank you. Improve. Very important, especially for us who are going indie publishing. Learn about SEOs. Also something that's on Barrett's channel, and something that Zara is going to school to learn all of the good things for. Yeah. So stick around these two people.
Maggie, you were like killing it with these Unpopular. You were bringing it tonight with the studies. Like, holy moly. We're doing ageism. Who wants it?
Ooh.
Take it and run.
I don't know if it's an indie publishing, but maybe...
I think it is more indie publishing maybe than traditional publishing, because it's so dependent on the internet. But Regina Duke, who is like at almost all of my live streams, who is older than me, and she's always like, oh, I'm a dinosaur. And I'm like, well, first of all, you're doing very well in technology for your age compared to some people your age in my family.
Or me. She's explaining Twitch to me. I'm younger than her, and she's constantly like, do this in Twitch. And I'm like, oh, who knew?
It's like, to me, in my family, most of the time, age is just a number. And it's not like they act immature, but it's the mentality of whether or not you're going to learn new stuff. And I am never going to be like, oh, Virginia, you're too old to understand this. You're not going to get it. It's more like, you've published over 40 books. I think actually she said the last time I said that she was like, actually it's over 60, but Amazon is just not showing everything or something. So like, she has done this for a decade. She's published a lot. Clearly she has life experience that I don't have. But like, again, like people come from things from different perspectives.
Yeah.
So to discount someone just because they're different from you is shame on you as a human.
Yeah. But we do see it in the Authortube realm. You know, some people who are very youthful and young and have a certain look will rise up very quickly. So there is some of that, you know. What can you do?
Yeah. Eva's comment's 100. So.
Yep.
And we'll all make mistakes. I do on ableism often, and have people let me know, and I appreciate people who let me know. People like Nicole and her sister Lauren, who was in here earlier, have told me things that I've said about sight that I never would have considered. So, yeah, thank you.
Yep. We're always learning. Panthers who can't outline are undisciplined. This is not my opinion, y'all.
Yeah, these are unpopular. None of these are Nia's necessarily, unless she says so. These are just unpopular opinions.
Like,
because I do love world building, but again, because I love it, it is not for everyone. Yeah.
I mean, if I do world building before I start writing, then why do I need to write it down? Because I've already written it down in my outline.
Yeah, I've heard people say this before, and we just lost this.
No.
I know. Hopefully she can come. Move back in. I don't understand what that means.
Sarah
I've heard
Sutton
this
feels that way too.
I'm like, but you haven't written the story.
But it depends on how detailed your outlines are. So like Brooke Passmore, when she was doing a ton of writing, she would write full scenes in her outline and then copy and paste them into her manuscript. And like Sarah Sutton never did that. But she would do like a chapter by chapter, and in her brain she kind of felt like, oh, if I wrote down what happened, even if it's bare bones, it's like she already lived it, and therefore she doesn't want to like have the energy to do it again. So like I can understand why some authors feel that way.
And I think I'm undisciplined if I'm writing every day, because if I don't write every day, then I'll forget what's happening.
Yeah.
So
I don't really do world building. Period.
Writers who pants aren't undisciplined. They just work better pantsing.
Yeah, that's what I think.
There's no level of discipline at all really when it comes to writing, except for your own personal discipline in whatever process you have in regards to your outlining or pantsing or drafting or revision, etc., etc. And you don't have to well build before you start writing. You will need to eventually well build, obviously, to make things make sense in your world. But you can pants, and more often than not, world building will come to you as you write, and then you just work off of what you've written in regards to your world building to make it more realistic or more immersive when you get to your later drafts.
I pants my world building.
Yeah, I think
I think you can do that as long as you write it down and keep things in order as you go, so that you don't.
Oh no, I haven't actually put that into practice yet, even though I tell myself I'm going to. I always search my Scrivener file where I'm like, here's the keyword. What did I? I'll like say eyes. And I'll be like, what color eyes did I give this person? Because I clearly can't picture it myself.
And I've seen this before where things change, and it might be an or a hyperphantasia thing where I'm literally plugging in every detail you give me. So if you tell me something and then you change it later, I'm thinking, what did I miss? When did that thing change? But it's usually. Not saying it's all.
I'll catch continuity errors if I'm reading it from someone else, or even if I'm reading it my own, where it's like my read through before I actually start revision and stuff. But I can't be like, oh yeah, I remember this character had this color eyes because that's just what they look like. But if I write a line that's like particularly focused on the color of their eyes, I might remember, and even then I might not. I still have to search it.
That is the reason I never state eye color in my novels ever.
The only thing I know about characters is the eye color and the color hair they have. And if you don't repeat those at least twice in your novel, in the one that I currently am reading, like let's not talk about sequels. If there's a sequel, I have no idea what your character looks like unless you retell me. Then I don't know. Because see, I don't picture myself in the character's position, but I don't picture the character. I picture this like shadow man, woman, she, the, them person thing, and it's just a shadow that does everything. And I'm like, oh wait, but the shadow has wings. Yay, fairy, or
it sounds like you have aphantasia.
Yeah, I'm like, that's got to be aphantasia, because I'm literally like, okay, here's a person. I'm going to give them a look, but I'm altering that look as it's filled in by the author, because I need a person. A shadow would be like weird to me, because I'm like, there's a shadow moving around.
That sounds like aphantasia.
I don't think so though, because for me, I need to be told what the character looks like at least twice before I actually put it into practice. And like,
then you can see it.
Yeah, then I can see that, but I can't look at fan art, because fan art just doesn't work, because I'm like, when did the author explain that there was this hair that was slightly out of place or something like that? And that just doesn't connect for me, because I have the shadow person in my head.
That is so interesting.
I have eye color and like height relative to the main character. Like, are they taller, shorter, or the same height? Okay. And that's normally just so that when they eventually get into a fight with each other, I need to know like whether or not the main character is looking up.
That's true.
See, the only things I do is I'll do hair color or texture or length, and then I'll do their fashion, their style, what they wear. That is how I tend to differentiate and describe all my characters. They all have a different fashion style. So when I imagine it in my head, like I'm imagining these specific clothes and that specific hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
Because
eye colour
this
just
is
flies straight out the window.
this is a thing. I don't know if it's just specific for certain groups of people, but I do watch some of the like the booktube more videos, and there are people who have been upset that a character that has been described as plus size, and then when the art that's commissioned for it is a barely curvy person,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
readers get upset. They're like, you describe them as plus size. That is just someone with
You're just
big
erasing
boobs.
the
You just
representation you gave.
you erased the representation because you just gave them a kind of a little bit of a booty and maybe a little bit of chest, but that's not plus size anymore. So sometimes I think it's important. Sometimes it's probably not important. But if you don't describe somebody, I give them whatever I want them to look like because I need a person. I need a person.
Yeah, and then you get really frustrated when the image you have in your head is then cancelled by a very random, sudden descriptor that the author places like halfway through the book, and you're like,
that annoys me so much.
Yes.
Same with scenes. It's not just characters. It's scenes. Like if they don't describe the location very much, and then I'll picture that in my head, and then they're like, "Oh yeah," and then the door's on the left. I'm like, "But I was seeing it on the right," you know. That annoys me, and it kind of throws me off as well.
Yeah. Just this
but
one
then
book
that heads into the whole. Sorry, okay.
This is a book that I recently just read, and this was one of those like really popular books, and I read it, and I swear I like searched the book up and down because I couldn't figure out. I knew the ethnicity of the character, and I knew the dress that she wore every time she changed outfits, but I did not know what she looked like as like characteristically like really specific. And I don't know, for some reason that bothered me because I started picturing just the dress. So I just had a phantom dress walking around the entire book.
Wait, I want to know what book.
For me, These Violent Delights.
Oh.
Yeah. So I know that the main character is Chinese, and I know and I know what she wears, but I'm like, does she have a round face, a long face?
But then that heads into how much description is
exactly.
too much description or is not enough description, because again, everyone's got their own opinion and everyone's got their own preferences. So I could go into that book with those descriptions and I'd be like, okay, I'm happy with that description. Right. Because then obviously my head would, obviously people are different, but the generalities of a Chinese person, that would be the image in my head, and I'd sort of be okay with that. Same like an average white person with blonde hair, or an average Indian person, for example. So I'd be happy with that. And then, as long as nothing disturbed the image that I had in my head, the shape of their face or how big their lips or nose or eyes was, that isn't something that I personally need to know. That would, too much description would confuse me. And then I'd have so much difficulty trying to imagine them in my head. But then there are some people who, you do want to know, face shape, etc., because then that helps you, imagine them better in your head. So it's just one of the things, like, how much is too much?
Yeah.
Or how much is this enough?
Yeah, I have a fine line where it starts to be like, okay, it's starting to look like Mary Poppins in the little cartoon land, where I'm like, what is happening now? You've got too much stuff being thrown at me because I'm trying to input every little thing. Because if you tell it to me, it goes in and it's processed and it's there, and that's the way that it is. If you leave it vague, I'll just give it anything, and it doesn't bother me to change it because then I'll just fill that in. But it's not a shadow. It's a person.
It's a black hole.
It's a person.
Yeah. I think it depends on the intention of what the writer wants. If the writer doesn't mind that the readers picture whoever, then that's fine. But if you like want to have those specific details, you're just going to make it sure it's clear, because otherwise people are going to get confused and frustrated. So
I think even if an author thinks that they're being specific, someone is going to get confused.
Oh yeah,
right? And they're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Unless, you know, like they take someone who you like, okay, I don't think every single time you mention a character, you should mention their skin tone. Like, that's not okay. No. But if a book says a character is not white and has a different color skin tone, and then all the fan art is like as if they're white, that's a problem.
Yeah. That's where whoever's doing the fan art refuses to accept that they're not what they want them to be.
The challenge, though, is writing something that's not set on Earth and trying to describe their ethnicity, which is kind of not the same as what you can refer to. So I guess you just go by skin color, but I'm writing sci-fi and I'm like,
I skirted the issue entirely. I didn't describe the skin tone of any of my aliens, but I described the color of their sweat because it looks like a rainbow. Thing. And I was like, that's different. But like, I don't, and it's like clearly they're humanoid enough. So you can just imagine like a slightly taller than average human, because I did make that clear, with like rainbow sweat.
See, in one of my YA fantasy projects, it's set in a fantasy world, and the face claims and the characters that I have, the main characters I have in my head, they are Korean, or they have Korean features, and it's like, okay, so I can't, like I would like in any other book, like I'd say they are Korean, they are American, they are African. I can't say that in a high fantasy novel because there is no Korea in my high fantasy novels, and it's just like, how do I describe these characters
without making it all
or you accidentally using a bad stereotype.
To make it clear that they do have Korean or Asian features, and that they're not white despite the fact they have pale skin. It's like, how do I do that in the right way and in a clear enough way that the readers understand what I'm trying to say? That's the difficult part.
When you figure that out, let me know.
I have in my also high fantasy, the people from a particular region predominantly look what we would consider have a more Eastern Asian look up to them. But I don't know how to describe that. But when my fan art, it's obvious. It's one of my favorite characters, and it's obvious in my fan art. But I can't put that necessarily, in my book. But I do describe that she's got dark hair and very dark eyes, and I kind of leave it at that. And some people might still think that she's white, or black, I guess, because dark hair, dark eyes could be.
I just want to say, I'm sure you people, I don't want to assume genders, although I think I know both of yours pretty well. You don't mean it offensively, but hearing the interchange of like East Asian or Asian and Korean, like they're all like, I have been told by Asian people that I have different features of different Asian races, because they're like trying to guess, and I'm like, first of all, this isn't a multiple choice quiz, like this is not your business. But the like average Chinese eyes are more narrow and slanted than like the average Korean eyes. And so if you're not of the race that you're describing, I would describe the features as much as possible and not like liken it to just like the race, because it's the people of that race are going to be like, we don't all look the same.
Exactly.
You know what?
The problem I always face is
we get that all the time too. So it's like,
the problem I always face is trying to describe it in a way that is in a way that people understand, that is not heading into all the stereotypical slanted eyes or things like that. It's trying to just, or almond shaped eyes, or whatever other stereotypical way people do describe the easy way people try to describe the features of other ethnicities. It's I find that I can't find my way. It's trying to find the right way to describe the characters, to relate to the race or the ethnicity that you liken them to in the novel, without being offensive, or stereotypical, which is the difficult part.
Yeah, and especially when you know, because you had it done to you and you've read it before about your race, you're like, you definitely don't want to do it to somebody else.
Cocoa, mocha, dark chocolate,
cappuccino.
It's like, okay.
It's okay to say they had dark brown skin.
Brown skin.
That's fine. Brown skin, light brown skin, tanned brown. It's fine.
Like you're describing a color. It's okay.
I'm not food. I'm not food.
There was a website at one point. I can't remember it now. It was on Reddit. It was done. It was by people of color had put it together of all different races for descriptors, and it was like you could go there, and it was like.
I have it. I have a Tumblr one.
It's something.
There was one on Tumblr, and I don't have Tumblr.
I have the link. I'll put it in because during my stream yesterday morning, I didn't know how to describe my own skin tone, and one of my co-hosts was like, "I don't know if you've seen this," and I was like, "Oh, I had, but I lost it forever ago, so I'm gonna post it."
Share it.
Yeah, I need that.
It helped. It's gonna be so helpful.
In the end, that's what I had to use. I was going through, looking at all the pictures. I was just like, okay, this is how these people are saying. This is how you describe the shape or the way, etc. I was just like, okay, so note all this down, and hopefully that is clear enough in the novel that people will link it to. This ethnicity that I'm trying to showcase in regards to the novel. I don't know if it's worked or not, but
yeah,
you can always throw a police report in there to describe their height and all of the very clear-cut details.
Oh yeah, let's follow police reports, which never racially.
Right. I was just thinking that. I was like, that's a safe bet.
Oh yeah.
So where are we at spicy wise? Like, what opinion are we? I've lost track of what opinion we're on.
Yeah, we just did this one.
Oh yes, okay.
I think we're still in the very mild and barely registered.
Yeah, I was like, we can definitely go up to a medium. Like, who's got a medium opinion? Okay. Oh.
How difficult is it to write to market though? Because you can be like, fairy novels are in at the moment for YA, and you're like, oh, I'll write a fairy novel. But by the time you've written it and revised it and sent it off to agents a couple of years down the line, it's not fairy novels anymore. It's vampires.
Over.
If it's traditional publishing,
no way, self-pub.
If it's traditional publishing, yeah. So yeah, write it to market. A scam, difficult to sort of judge unless you're right there, within the publishing industry. It's a very difficult thing to do, and you can't really ask authors or writers to attempt to do so, especially if they're new writers trying to get their debut. You can't go writing to market. It's just like, okay, but I don't know what the market is. I don't know what the market's going to be.
I don't think it's a scam at all. Because you're writing to an audience that you know exists. Yep. And hopefully you're writing a story that you want to write. I think if you're writing to market in a market that you don't know and haven't tried to learn about and are only doing it for the money, then I think you might be a sellout. But I don't think writing to market is a scam.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very difficult.
That comment 100% is true. Answering Bethany Botas, but YouTube is a marketing scam. Yes, but it's effective and it works well.
Yep.
Thank you all for coming. So please subscribe. Bethany was saying, is there a theme to the unpopular opinions other than being in the book world? I would say if there are any that are bookish or author-tubish, toss them out there.
Yeah.
We want them, and the spicier the better. And Richard Holiday threw out some spicy.
Yes.
Pineapple on pizza was one.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking more the like comics are trash and like where were we?
Well, that's still book related.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
yeah, I forgot about the pizza. Yeah, he says that in every stream of mine, so that's why I'm numb to that one.
It's white noise for me.
Yeah, it's in one ear.
Do you
Yeah.
eat pizza when you read? Is that why it's related to books? Can you talk about this for a second? I do not like eating snacks when I have a paperback book because then I always feel like I'm gonna ruin it.
Greasy, yeah, no,
Yep.
agreed.
I don't like
the
the spine. No matter like if I'm eating over a plate over, the crumbs get in the spine, and I can like wipe out 80% or 90%, and then there are just a few where I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it can't be like if that's what people want to read, but yeah, just if you're already working on something, you've got something ready, and you're like, oh well, this is what's popping right now. Let me finish editing this one book that I think it would be kind of hard to chase the market though, especially if you're not a fast writer. Like by the time you get done, they're going to be moving on from vampires to werewolves.
I think doing anything as a get rich quick scheme in any area of life, but especially with something that requires you to write and edit, hopefully a book, is not a good idea.
Not a good look. I mean, seriously, if your get rich scheme is publishing,
Your parents and
which
teachers
one?
in society have some explaining to do.
The first one you put up, I totally agree with.
Which one did you want to address? Because we can snag any of them. I got a whole list.
The
Which one
Perseverance one,
Perseverance?
I totally agree with, in some extent, because yeah, because
At some level, yeah.
because there's
Popular
this
is the key
social
word.
media algorithm thing, and to put videos and algorithm and to get videos out there for people to see, you have to post consistently, and that's totally perseverance.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some traditionally published authors out there who personally aren't that talented. And then you can have people who are very talented, but whose books aren't out there because they haven't either tried hard enough to get their book published or to go through agents. So you do need to have talent. Obviously, you need to have some sort of skill in order to be a writer or an authortuber. But you do need to work at it so much in order to get your name out there and, you know, get viewers and get readers and things like that. And it yes,
Yeah.
Richard.
This
Yes,
one's
Zara.
Yep.
yeah. This one.
I read both of those authors' very popular series, and yes, I hate myself on some level that I didn't just DNF at some point. But I can like then be like, if something's popular enough, sometimes people don't care about the quality.
I mean, here's
I
what's
could not
crazy.
even pass the first paragraph of 50 Shades of Grey. I read the first paragraph and I was like, nope.
The writing of 50 Shades
Would
of
not put
Grey
myself
was
through that.
worse than the writing of Twilight. I will say that. I will also say the
I will
writing of
agree.
Harry
Yep.
Potter does not stand up quality-wise. Like, the story is still entertaining, but the writing of Harry Potter isn't actually that great, whereas the writing of the Percy Jackson books is actually good.
Yeah.
Plus the plot.
Yeah.
That is a spicy
Yeah,
opinion. Like,
definitely.
let's take that on. Where's that banner? Boom.
Yeah. I'm telling you. I told you guys, send it to me. I'll put it up there.
I didn't think of it at the time. Whenever someone's like, "Oh, tell me this," or "Do you have any questions?" Like at the end of an interview or something, I'm like, blank screen. It's like error.
Yeah, for me,
404 not found.
For me, the equivalent would be The Fault in Our Stars. I just couldn't.
The writing.
Yeah.
Never tried.
Yeah, some people hate his writing.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
okay.
my friend voluntold me, aka volunborrowed. Like, is that she like thrusted the book upon my life and refused to take it back until I read it. And eventually she was like, have you read it yet? Like 3 years later. Nope. Okay, you can give it back to me now.
Okay, can you put up Richard's quote from 50 Shades? Because that is the shit I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Her inner goddess.
Oh, God.
Or looked up from reading her copy of insert book, and it's like, you are
Oh
not,
my gosh.
you have not proven yourself to be nerdy enough for your inner goddess to be reading this book, even though you were an English lit major in college.
Yeah,
Wait, this is a 50 Shades of Grey quote?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
This is what we're not
Yeah.
doing, Charlie.
Yeah.
If you
What not
search,
to do?
there's a Tumblr meme, and it's like a sentence from it, and it's like, if you ever feel bad about your writing, just remember this got published.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to remind people of that because it's so.
As well, actually.
Yeah. Something like he laughed angry, something.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
ha ha ha.
what
He
it is.
giggled. It's like this is so bad.
Oh, that was Arrow from
That was
Breaking
Arrow
Dawn.
from
Now I
Breaking Dawn.
remember the ha 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 part. It brought it back to me.
Oh,
Yep. So bad. And millions of dollars, lots of movies.
And that was traditionally published from the get-go versus
traditionally
Shades was indie and then picked up.
yep.
So,
See,
it's
it's things like that where people sometimes talent and skill doesn't matter even to agents and publishers. They will pick, oh, this has potential to be big. Despite the fact that it's not written very well, let's publish it. And obviously they're proven right because obviously vampires was a very sort of, was it popular before Twilight? Probably at some in some.
I mean, it was popular with Anne Rice, who was doing it, and then every time a new Dracula movie came out, I'm sure there was like a bump. But
And Charlaine Harris,
so
her series too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all something that when it's not written that well, but it will bring in the cash. So yeah, sometimes talent does not equal, you know, hard work.
Well, and I think the money that is put into a Twilight to be a Twilight, when they gave her $600,000 advance or whatever it was on those books. When they put that much money into it, they're going to put money into the marketing of those books too, and then they'll go farther. So it's all a real effed up equation. So
like what hurts me is when a genre gets known for something that's really popular but not quality, and I'm like, I read that, may or may not hate myself for that, but then I've read other books in the genre that are actually well written, and no one's going to give them a chance.
Totally.
If they don't already like the genre.
Totally.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It is time for us to do our outros for this stream so that we can head over to the next. We are going to lose Amy and Sarah. So Amy and Sarah, if you would like to let the people know where they can find you, their links are below. I've got Amy's Twitch, and Sarah, I've got your Twitch and your YouTube. Guys, we'll do Amy first and then we'll end it with Sarah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, you can find me at Shiny Night on Twitch, and I stream writing sprints and gaming. I've also got Instagram and Twitter as author_Amy as well. So yeah, you can find me on all the links and things. Cool.
Well, I'm Sarah. I am a middle grade and YA fantasy writer. You can find me here on YouTube at Sarah Cahill and over on Twitch at Sarah K Full of Write, where I do writing sprints and weird, creative, stupid writing challenges. Yay!
You mean affiliate, Sarah?
No,
I just
think
followed.
one more follower.
I just followed you tonight. Did I do it?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you even said you became an affiliate.
I've still got to do my seven days of streaming. I've done 3 so far. 4 more to go.
You can do it. You can do it.
Exciting.
And then I think yes.
Yes.
So hopefully
I hit it without trying. So
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be difficult. I only just hit affiliate too, and that was just because it's the support of everyone trying to like help me get there. So
Yeah, the only reason I've got 50 is because I got raided basically.
Ooh.
So if you,
it's the
I
raids.
was part of that
That
raid.
helps
If
so
you're
much.
lucky enough to get raided, then yeah, your followers will go up so fast if you are lucky enough to do so, which I did happen to be. So that's one of the good things about Twitch, though. Really, you can grow quite quickly.
Yes.
Because it's much more of a community in that respect, rather than on YouTube. And you could raid on YouTube. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah. It would be.
They'll steal that in a year.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was an opinion. Ooh, we might get to that in the next one about Authortube being dead and Twitch dying.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
YouTube's been dying for years, so
yeah, they're always like Authortube is dying, and like, okay, we'll see. It's small, but I think it's just going to be smaller. And always the people who did it first are going to be the biggest. So.
Yep.
I see new Authortube newbie 2.0 tags popping up all the time. I don't think it's dying. I just think some people might leave, new people will come in, other people might feel like life got crazy. I can't make YouTube videos like multiple times a week anymore.
Yep.
Once a week, even that, like, people are still there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so it was a lot of fun having both Amy and Sarah with us. We're going to have another guest join us. Michael is coming on for Twitch. Guys, if you want, now that your brain is thinking about more unpopular opinions, put them in our private chat of the next stream and I can make a banner. We don't have to have a banner, of course. I can always pop it up from the chat. But if you want that banner to stick up there, put it in the chat of the Twitch StreamYard, and we can do that. Amy and Sarah, thank you for staying up late with us. I'm going to try and make some of these earlier to be more.
Thanks.
To be more fun for you guys. Thank you for coming.
Time for bed.
Yes, good night, you two, and the other three of you. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Link is there. Link is there.